Okay, the claim I'm responding to today is that video games have a negative impact on the individuals who play them. My opponent's secondary claims were that 1, many popular video games emphasize negative themes and are consequently affecting the way players act. 2, time spent while playing these games can be highly excessive and lead to poor health. And 3, many people become obsessed and choose to play these video games rather than practice other proactive activities. In response to my opponent's first secondary claim that many popular video games emphasize negative themes and are consequently affecting the way players act, I would like to address that not all video games contain violence. For example, there are many cartoon games such as Super Mario Brothers, and also like many of the new sports-oriented games such as like Wii Fit and things to keep you in shape. My opponent states that people who play these violent games are more likely to have increased aggression, thoughts, and behaviors. But according to Dimitri Williams, professor at the University of Illinois and author of the first long-term study on violence in video games, states, contrary to popular opinion and most previous research, the new study found that players' exposure to a highly violent online game did not cause any substantial real-world aggression. After an average playtime of 56 hours over the course of a month, researchers found no strong effects associated with aggression caused by this violent game. Players were not statistically different from the non-playing control group in their beliefs on aggression after playing the game than they were before playing. According to Buzzle.com, there are many positive aspects of playing video games, such as problem-solving, planning, analysis, estimation, quick decision-making, increased hand-eye coordination, and many more. Next, I will be responding to my opponent's second claim, which was that time spent while playing these games can be highly excessive and lead to poor health. According to GameInnovator.com, people who live a sedentary lifestyle, which is poor exercise and rather inactive, and do mostly sitting activities such as playing video games, usually suffer from some sort of health issue later on in life, such as heart and muscle problems and obesity. This is usually combined with poor diet, such as genetically modified foods and eating junk food. Another factor of poor health can also be contributed to excessive playing. Time should be regulated instead of overseen, especially in children. And according to Buzzle.com, the negativities brought in by video games are due to the unrestricted duration for which they are played. I would like to respond lastly to my opponent's third claim that many become obsessed and choose to play video games rather than practice other proactive activities. According to Lee Bok-Sam, writer of Command Studios, says whether video games are a positive or negative influence depends on each individual circumstance. Although an addiction to video games can consume much of a person's time, it also will make that person more productive at work by increasing multitasking activities. My opponent stated that teens holding up in their rooms, ignoring friends, family, even food and shower, while grades plummet and belligerents soar, can be blamed on video games. This has not been proven, it's merely someone's opinion. In conclusion, although video games may have negative impact on some individuals, with increased regulation and self-control, the positives will outweigh the negatives. That's it.
All right, the structural things seemed fine. I thought you had a very good citation when you got to point 1, telling us where you were in the argument. Your challenge to the generalization is okay. I think you could use a little bit more statistical information, talking about the percentage of video games that have this violent information in it, or the violent content in it. I thought you had a nice, good counterclaim piece of information about from a credible source on the aggression issue. Now, there's not any direct discussion of the advocate's evidence or reasoning, but the counterclaim seems to suggest a competing conclusion. So that's they do sound like they're mutually exclusive. I think your argument could be stronger if you talked about why the evidence from this particular source is more credible or believable than the ones that the advocate presented. On the positive aspects on that first point, you just basically have this laundry list of claims, and that's all there is on that particular point. It comes up again right at the end where you make this argument about, well, they learn multitasking, and again, it's a generalization, and I don't really have any proof for those generalizations, and you criticize the advocate for making some generalizations on this point, and I think you're doing the same sort of thing there. On the second point, the labeling is clear. The discussion of alternative causality for the problems is pretty straightforward. The notion that it's a regulation of the time and that people really need to have some control of the duration, I think you're attempting to diminish the significance of its relationship to video games, and I think that's okay. One of the things that you might want to put into context is how this would be true of anybody who engaged in any activity that was sedentary in life, in nature, whether it's watching television, reading online, sleeping in, watching sports or something like that instead of playing sports, those kinds of things. And then, like I said, on the last point, you've got this general kind of counterclaim talking about some benefit of playing these games, and to me, it's almost exactly the same argument that you made right after that, where it's just somebody's opinion. I said, well, yeah, that's what we got just a second ago. Why is one opinion better than the other? I'm not getting any information about that. And why should we believe your opinion as opposed to the opinion on the other side? We don't get any information on that. So I think you need to do a little bit more in trying to sell that comparative argument. All right, thank you.